Welcome.
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 Welcome
Welcome.
to the Lower Bucks Environmental Stewardship Team. I'm Liz.
I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Katie. We're excited to have you on the team.
It's time to get into the nitty-gritty of stewardship work. But first, what does stewardship mean?
By the dictionary definition, stewardship is all about someone taking on the responsibility of managing and caring for an organization or property, usually on behalf of others. In the context of environmental stewardship at Heritage Conservancy's properties, stewardship is about volunteers coming together to care for the nature preserves on behalf of the wider community, often working alongside our staff.
In Lower Bucks County, Heritage Conservancy's focal preserves are Bristol Marsh and Croydon woods because these places are rich in species diversity and ecological importance.
Within Bristol Marsh, you will find 8 rare native species and may catch sight of the impressive great blue herons or bald eagles that call the Delaware River home. Just 2 miles south, Croydon Woods harbors 9 other native rare plants, including 2 trees, the willow oak and the sweet bay magnolia. While these forests have shrunk with growing development, the remaining ecosystems within the nature preserves provide references for what was, is, and could be. They also offer a break from the urban and suburban, a breath of newly photosynthesized fresh air.
Our goal is to cultivate natural spaces where native, rare, and endangered species thrive alongside their neighboring human communities, where families and friends can enjoy fresh air, where kids can learn. We need your help to do that.
Now, before we go any further, we need to go over a couple safety tips. First, ticks and mosquitoes do live in the preserve and are especially abundant in the summer. Wear bug repellent, long pants, and long sleeves. Check yourself for ticks, especially your hair, and don't scratch mosquito bites. If you do find a tick on yourself, please be aware that ticks may carry some diseases, such as Lyme disease. So check yourself for symptoms of Lyme disease and other tick-borne diseases. Second, the trail can be rugged or uneven, so you ought to wear closed-toed shoes. Third, keep an eye out for poison ivy and thorny plants, as they also reside on the nature preserve. They're best avoided. Fourth, be respectful of wildlife, visitors, and other volunteers. Don't touch or feed the animals, don't remove anything from the preserve other than trash, and don't make anyone feel unwelcome. Do support and encourage your fellow volunteers and trail hikers.
And on to the more fun stuff. Okay, so trail work. It's not glamorous, but it's important. First and foremost, volunteers like you should always pick up trash when you see it. Trash doesn't just look bad, it also has the potential to harm animals and plants, both here locally in the preserves and downstream. Trash that ends up in the preserves may get washed into Hog Run Stream at Croydon Woods or into Otter Creek at Bristol Marsh, and eventually end up in the Delaware River and even the ocean. Plastic is particularly problematic because it doesn't decompose, but rather breaks into smaller and smaller pieces, eventually becoming microplastics. These plastics can suppress plant growth, be mistaken for food by animals, or entangle animals. That's why the simple act of picking up trash is really meaningful. You can help us out with it as part of our annual cleanup days, or on your own time as you enjoy the nature preserves.
Second, walk the trails. Just by using the trails, you help to prevent plants from sprouting in the trail path, making it easier for other people to follow. If you notice large branches or other tripping hazards in the trail, please move them to the side. Our Heritage Conservancy stewardship staff has over 50 properties all over Bucks County to monitor, so we may not notice every detail. While we like our trails a little rugged, if it's getting hard to pass, please take the branch and move it to the side. However, we don't want ATVs on the trail, so if you see evidence of motor vehicles in the area, please leave the largest branches and logs on the path.
Third, as an environmental steward, you might participate in a workday to remove invasive plant species or plant trees. There will always be a Heritage Conservancy staff member there to give specific instructions, but in general, when removing invasive plants, like this stilt grass that's found all over the forest floor, you want to grip the plant at the base and pull up, removing as much of the root system as possible so that it's harder for it to grow back. Now, stilt grass doesn't have thorns, but other undesirable plants do, or plants that are around whatever you're pulling. So you want to make sure that you're wearing gloves just to be careful. Tree planting, on the other hand, is all about digging. Again, Heritage Conservancy staff members will be around to give specific instructions, but come prepared to do lots of digging and tree lifting, with the help of your teammates, of course. Again, we recommend that you bring gloves with you because in this case, you want to protect your hands from blisters.
Fourth, you are the eyes and ears at Bristol Marsh and Croydon Woods, which means noticing the changes that the plants and animals go throughout the year and any impacts on the land you may see. To help you do that, here are some of the plants and animals that make our nature preserve special. Here is a sweet gum. It is a very common tree of the coastal plain, and you see the leaf has this very star-shaped pattern, and they produce a fruit or a seed capsule that holds lots of seeds, very distinctive, and you'll find these on the ground. The kids like to throw them at each other. And here we have American holly, which is another great species that you only find in the coastal plain, and you see it has these little spines on the edge of the leaf, which deter herbivores from wanting to eat. Important berry in the wintertime for birds that need to eat. So one of our important species. Second species here is the willow oak. Here's a seedling. And as you can see, the leaf does not look anything like a traditional oak tree that most people think of. It looks more like a willow. And it produces an acorn, putting it in the oak family. So another species that we only really find on the coastal plain in this area.
I'm standing here with a pin cherry tree. I can tell it's a pin cherry because of its papery bark, the shape of its leaf, and these berries that are developing at the end of its branches. Unfortunately, this pin cherry tree is probably not long for this world because it's gone and fallen across one of our trails. Our Heritage Conservancy staff members won't always notice when a tree has fallen, which is why we really need volunteers like you to let us know when this happens.
So here we created a pollinator garden that goes along with our outdoor classroom, and we've stocked it with a bunch of plants that are important for pollinators. Specifically, this one right next to me is swamp milkweed, and milkweeds are the only plants that the monarch butterfly will lay their eggs on. The larvae will hatch and they'll consume the leaves, and then when they're ready to go into the chrysalis, they'll hatch out as butterflies. Here we are at Bristol Marsh, and the plants behind me are well adapted to being inundated with water from the Delaware River. The purple flowered plants are pickerel weed, and behind them is arrowhead and Indian rice.
This here is a sweet bay magnolia, another of our native trees. In May and June, it gets nice white flowers, and throughout the year, it has these really cool two-tone leaves. Green on top, silver underneath. And that's the Sweet Bay Magnolia.
If you notice a large tree down on the trail, new graffiti, or any other problems, please contact the volunteer coordinator at Heritage Conservancy. You can either do it by phone or email. You should have received that in your handbook when you signed up.
The last and most important task we ask of you is to invite new people to the nature preserves. Bring your family, invite your friends, recommend them to acquaintances. Sometimes a little social boost can help someone who didn't know or think about the nature preserves find their way to our trails, where they will find the beauty you have helped us nurture together.
The ultimate goal of Heritage Conservancy is to not only preserve and protect these important areas, but to also provide access to our neighbors, both near and far, to nature for learning, recreation, and relaxation. We're currently working to connect two of our preserves, Croydon Woods and Bristol Marsh, with a 2-mile multi-use public trail. The Croydon Woods Bristol Marsh Trail will serve as a critical link along the East Coast Greenway, as well as a local connection to the Delaware-Lehigh National Heritage Corridor Trail. All of these trails are part of Greater Philadelphia's Circuit Trails Network, which will connect the region with more than 700 miles of trails. To learn more and find out where these trails are located, check out the links in the video description.
Environmental stewardship is crucial to Heritage Conservancy's mission. The hours you and other volunteers give us not only improve the nature preserves, but also help us qualify for more grant funding for local projects. We deeply appreciate all that our environmental stewardship volunteers have done and will do with us. We've been over a lot in these training videos, and there's even more to learn in the field. Replay the parts you forget, check your volunteer handbook, and ask questions at work days. We look forward to seeing you in the nature preserves. See you soon!